if you can get obsessive about getting strong, I mean, I said I wasn't a strong guy. And what I meant by that is my progress has come from being a very weak guy to being a relatively strong guy.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Think Big Bodybuilding Media. I'm Scott McNally, and today we're going to talk with Dan BASTICK. He's an amateur out of the UK who put on an incredible 50 pounds in a matter of 6 months. Now, I'm not trying to say that he gained 50 pounds of muscle, but he did put on some high-quality lean tissue, and that will translate to a lot of lean muscle the next time he diets down. If you guys want to make some incredible progress, then it's important to listen to people like Dan who have done it. He's going to explain what it took, everything from the training to the nutrition to the drugs, and hopefully you'll be able to glean something from this conversation that you can apply to your own training. If you guys enjoy this content, do me a favor, hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, because we have several podcasts that come out each week. Everything from guys like Dan to guys like Dusty Hanshaw and Lee Priest, top coaches in the industry, and everything in between. All right, guys, let's get to Dan BASTICK.
A bold and battle-ready focus formula that takes no prisoners and shows no mercy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Think Big Bodybuilding Media. I'm Scott McNally, and today we are going to do a little segment that all of our audio viewers or listeners have always appreciated. We call it Huge as Fuck. And today I'm with Dan BASTICK. He is a client of Jordan Peters. He's been a longtime listener of everything that we do here at Think Big and Advices Radio, and he has gained some incredible size. Dan, I'm excited to get into this, man. You've made a lot of progress in the last year or so, brother.
What's up? Let's do this.
So lay it on us, man. Tell me about, I have these pictures of you, and I'll put one of these up so everybody can see it. But I'm looking at 2 weeks post-show, 207 pounds, next to 265 pounds.
End of October to May.
Okay.
That's in itself a big leap there.
Yeah.
Then from 235 up, we just worked away. Heaviest I got to morning weight was 267.
267.
But then I float around 260, 265.
Okay. Let's talk about this. What we like to do, guys, is look at what somebody has done to make incredible progress like this, because we can say this is incredible progress. And I know you don't have any, this isn't secrets. Like we broke this down a little bit before we hit the record button. We don't have like a get huge quick scheme here. There's no like SARM where you gained 50 pounds in 30 days, nothing like that. What was it? Tell me about your training. We know that it's the training, it's the nutrition. Yeah, those are the foundations. And you lift heavy, don't you?
Relatively. I always say that relatively because I think I'm kind of strong for a bodybuilder, but I'm not. Okay, I'm going to nick a JP term here. Legit strong. I'm not legit strong.
What does that mean? Tell me the difference.
So, if you're, say, a strong man, you're meant to be strong. If you are compared to a bodybuilder, you are very strong. So strong men for me are like the upper echelon of strong. That's legit strong.
Yeah.
There's a difference. So the goal is to be legit strong one day, I suppose.
Okay.
Where you're not strong for a bodybuilder, you're just strong.
Yeah. Tell me about some of your lifts. What are you good? What are you best at? And what kind of numbers have you put up?
Okay. So as I say, it's relatively strong. Okay. So I'm known as a bit of a deadlifter. I suppose that's my niche.
Okay.
For that reason, we have to have a rest day either side of pull day because it's my strongest day and it ruins me for the whole week probably. So deadlifting. So I've just put conventional back in, so I don't really have a number set. So stiff leg deadlifts, I ran those for a while just before switching over back to conventional. I got up to 320 kilos for a double, which what's 320 in pounds?
I just pulled up my calculator because I knew you're going to go to kilos. 705 and a half pounds for a double.
Stiff leg.
That for a double on stiff leg.
that's a dead stop stiff leg as well.
Okay.
I know there's different variations of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so rack pull. I've rack pull from a mid shin. I suppose I do like 3, about the same weight, but for 4 or 5.
Okay.
Conventional deads. I failed for the first time in my whole bodybuilding ever deadlifts, and it really, really pissed me off. So first time doing conventional deads for probably about 3 years. So I've literally forgotten how to use my legs in a deadlift. Okay. And I decided to try a 340 kilo deadlift. I got it all the way, pretty much the bar above my mid thigh. I just couldn't lock it out. But I think just relearning the movement pattern again and getting my legs active in the movement, I pretty much stiffened it because I've been so used to that movement. I'll get that. And the end of year goal will be 360 kilo deadlift. Wow. I'll make that happen.
So 360, that is, let's see here, 793. So we're talking, that's a lot of weight, man. That's a lot of weight.
That'll be 8.5 plates aside.
Yeah.
That's the year goal. And as I say, that will happen.
So were you always strong? How, what kind of strength did you have as a kid? Did you play sports? Tell me a little bit about that background.
Okay, so I wasn't actually a strong guy at all, and this is what I was going to get onto. So previous sport history has been motocross. It runs in my family. We're a motorsport family. Huh. Judo. I played football. I played rugby. They've been my sport, but from about the age of 16 onwards, it's just been all bodybuilding, to be honest.
Okay, so you started at 16, and how old are you now?
I started at 15. Oh, 15. I did it whilst I was playing sport, and I'm now 23.
Now you're 23. So you're still a really young guy, floating up around 260s. That's a lot of weight, man. And you've made a lot of progress. What are you thinking you're going to do here? I mean, obviously this season's kind of messed up right now, but obviously you're going to want to get back on stage. You thinking you're just going to push through and wait till next year, or what?
So definitely the earliest I'll ever think of competing is end of 2021, but really I've got 2022 in my head, just because I know you shouldn't have a weight goal, but there is a certain size I need to be before I think I'll be confident to be competitive to win the national title in my class.
Okay. What are you thinking weight wise?
Off season, this condition, 280 pounds.
280 pounds. Yeah. And how tall are you?
280 or 285. I think I have to go beyond and above that and come back down to make that work. To almost surpass my previous. That's what it's all been about. Always go over my previous weight to gain the muscle. But I'm 5'10".
5'10". Okay, so you are a little bit on the taller side then for bodybuilding. But yeah, I mean, I think that sounds like an incredible goal to have, and I think there's something to be said here too about not just competing back to back to back. You're going to have to. It's about delaying the gratification is what that really comes down to, because it would feel nice to compete. I'm sure as soon as you could. You have made some progress, but end of 2021, man, you're going to have to hold out for a long time, go through some serious discomfort between now and then. What's it like holding the weight that you are now, having compared that to being, 209 in the past or less?
Okay, so honestly, right now I feel fantastic.
Okay.
Probably about 3 weeks ago, I did not feel that way at all. I felt like when I got to my peak weight, it was awful, the water retention. How I describe it is trying to walk was like somebody tying a rope around the bottom of your spine and tying it as tight as possible.
Ooh.
That's what it was like trying to walk when the initial weight gain came off after the next food increase. But then since then, I've come off cycle and going into a health phase, and the water retention has fallen off, and I feel great.
Okay.
So, I feel great right now, but in comparison, it's changed everything in terms of my lifestyle, how I need to mitigate recovery, rest and recovery. But what I notice now, obviously, the stronger you get, the lower volumes you probably should train at, because your recovery capabilities can't keep up with what you do when you're lifting lighter. But in conjunction with that, when you're heavier, you've also got the carrying around the weight all the time. You don't get to rest. Every little task becomes a task. So carrying around the weight in itself is really fatiguing. You've got to take that into conjunction with your training volume as well.
So what kind of volume do you do now? What does a workout look like for you?
So the volume's fallen down and down and down as I've got heavier, because I just can't take it. Like if I had 2 sets of glute bridges, it's now 1, because my lower back can't keep up, because then in 2 days later I've got deadlift. But in terms, let's take, I had legs yesterday, and we are doing 4 quad compound moves. So 2 sets of leg press, 2 sets of hack squat, in a multitude of rep ranges. You know JP's philosophy. It's very much a loading set and a back off set. The last set will be 15 to 20, but I treat it as a widow maker. I go aim for 20, then find a way to get to 30. Because I don't do any cardio. And that's the only way I can keep myself, like my cardio capacity, okay, as it were. So that's what we're talking about. 4 quad working sets. I'll give you an example of the whole session we did yesterday. So we did 2 sets of biceps. That was a single arm dumbbell preacher curl, just 2 sets, done. Then we did 2 sets of seated ham curl. Did 2 different rep ranges, loading, back off. Then we did 2 sets of leg press, 2 sets of hack squat. Then we did 1 set of glute bridge, 1 set of single leg lying ham curl, 2 sets of adductors, 1 set of calves.
Okay. Now, so, what does a time frame look like on a workout like that?
This is the interesting thing with carrying the weight and being strong. The stronger you are, the longer it takes to warm up. And the heavier you are, that your knees hurt like fuck. Put it, mind my French. So you need to warm up thoroughly to make sure your legs, or your knees, feel good for the set. But not just that. If you're doing, 7, 8 plates aside on a hack squat, you're not going from 1 plate to 8 plates. You're going 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plate, 4 plate, 5 plate, 6 plate. 7 plate, then 8 plate. And that's what it takes to get up to that weight for me, for my knees to feel good.
Okay, now explain to us what that warm up looks like. 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plate. How many reps are you doing for each one of these jumps?
So probably like 1 plate will probably be 10 reps. 2 plates would be 6 reps. 3 plates would be 4 reps. Then I'll just go 3 reps, 3 reps, 2 reps, 1 rep, 1 rep, 1 rep.
Yes.
Then I'm ready.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Try not to waste any energy, but at the same time, compromise with feeling good and ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that. We talk about it a lot on the shows. There's 2 elements, I think. They're both like the physical, the warming the muscle up, and then there's the central nervous system. We've all gone into the gym and lifted X amount of reps with a given amount of weight, and then been able to do more, on the next set, been able to do X amount plus 3 more reps. It's like, wow, that weight was easier. But it's because we weren't, warmed up enough for that first set. I think that's critical with what you're talking about, are these warm-ups and these feeders.
And for that reason also, very often I would do what people would term a back-off set. There, say your 12 to 15 rep range, I might do that set first, because it will cut down the amount of warm-ups I need to do to get to that heavier loading set, and it will prime my nervous system ready for that heavier loading set. It might fatigue you because you are going to failure. Yeah. But in terms of longevity, it might be worth it, just being extra ready for that heavy loading set. Is
JP okay with that, I take it then? He says go for that?
Yeah, as long as it's consistent. Yeah. If it's consistent, standardized, and you can logbook it, that's fine.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, for sure. For some things, I do need to do that with leg stuff usually, because my knees do irritate me. But for other things, I can just switch on straight away and I'm fine. Like a deadlift, I can go straight into a loading set and not have any issues at all. It just takes a long time to build up to the work set.
Yeah. So let's take that hack squat, for instance. You work your way up to 8 plates, and that's 1 plate at a time, doing warm-up sets and feeder sets. From the time you get to the hack squat machine to the time you're actually doing that first working set, how long does that usually take? Ballpark.
Probably. Must be about 15, 20 minutes.
Fair enough.
Must be.
Yeah.
Must be. I mean, thank Lord I don't train in a public gym right now. I'm in my own gym. I've got no one waiting for a piece of equipment because I would have complaints for sure. And I have a training partner as well who's equally as strong as I am. So, and I'm, that's handy as well, because imagine trying to load all them plates on your own. That's fatiguing yourself, and it's on its own.
Yeah.
And being as heavy. He's in exactly the same position as I am. He's just as heavy as I am. He's a little bit heavier because he's a little bit taller, but he's just as strong.
Yeah.
For leg stuff, he's stronger than me. So it's something to chase as well. But
what's his name? Let's give him a shout out.
Amph Oakley. So this has been a big reason for my progress as well. There's no getting around it. I haven't had a training partner ever.
Really?
Before him. Yeah, and we got together after my show. So he did a show in August, and I did my show in October. And then after that, I saw him in the gym. I thought he was a big guy. I didn't know he's 21. I didn't realize, he was that young. I just assumed he was older because he's a big, big guy. And it just turns out we got on. We had the same philosophies. He had the same kind of love for that high intensity Mike Mentzer Dorian style training.
Yeah.
And we got a session in together, and I probably couldn't walk for 3 days. I'm like, that's the guy. And he's got things I've got. He's got things I haven't got, sorry. And I've got things he hasn't got.
That's cool, man.
We work with that. So on leg day, I'm chasing him. On back day, he's chasing me.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, not just that. I always say in a training partner, it's not just about being the equal strength of each other. There's a certain kind of a relationship you have with them where you don't even need to talk to them, and they know what you want from them.
Yeah.
So I can give him a look, and he knows that means 2 plates, or spot on the third because I don't think I've got this.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's cool. You're lucky to have found somebody that's, like-minded, that fits, that checks all those boxes, that has a similar strength than you, that you're a little bit stronger in some areas. He's a little bit stronger in others. And you guys have that obviously he's got that same consistency to train in the gym with you. Tell me a little bit about this home. Well, it's not really a home gym setup, but I know that you guys are still shut down over there in the UK. Gyms are still closed. How are you getting your workouts in?
So as I said, did legs yesterday. I texted him this morning. I said, mate, can you walk? I don't think I can get out of bed. That's pretty much our sessions. We murder each other, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because we're such low volume, every set is the set of the day. We don't waste a set. But in terms of the gym, we've got everything. We've got everything you could think of that you need to grow. I mean, dumbbells up to 70 kilos. I've just bent the 70 kilo dumbbells though. So I need to repair those and get some heavier ones as well. Squat rack, Texas deadlift bar, power bar, Swiss bar, EZ bars, everything like that. Smith, incline, bench.
So, but you put this together. This is like a home gym or what?
Yeah, I mean, it's in its own building. It doesn't look like a home gym at all. It looks like a fully operational facility. It looks like you'd have to pay to go in for sure. We've got everything. Calves. It's mostly leg equipment because that's my focus of bringing up. There's not much we haven't got, to be honest.
How did you put this thing together?
So as we were talking before, I mean, just years. So I started, as I told you, I was a bit of a weird child. Although I did have influences. So my My dad was a bodybuilder.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
My brothers, he never competed, but he had a decent physique.
Yeah.
My brothers also went to a gym. I mean, they were all, they were all big guys. They're all using gear and stuff like that. I didn't know that at the time, but I just assumed what you look like. And I was just brought up to know, like, this is a man. You're meant to have muscles. I'm into comics, WWF at the time, everything like that. And and when I was 12 years old, we just started collecting gym equipment. I kind of picked out bits I liked. I like the look of that. I didn't even train at the time for bodybuilding anyway. I just liked the idea of the mechanics. And then it was only until I was 15 that I actually started training with the goal of bodybuilding.
So you were collecting gym equipment before you really even lifted weights, you're saying?
I said I was a weird child.
That's okay. That's okay. Because it paid off. Then 2020, we had the coronavirus shutdown, and look at where you're at now. Now you've got basically a full facility set up.
Some might say I foresaw it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose I was just a weird child. I enjoyed every different brand had a different niche with what they were good at providing in a piece of equipment. So some things had a really good sense of leverages and how to maximize peak contractions and that kind of thing. And other brands were just solid. Like I've got a lot of old Zynamite stuff from Germany, and that stuff just lasts. And I love that. But everything's built like a tank. And it's like it's kind of just reminds me of the old Marcus Rule videos made in Germany on that equipment. And I was into bodybuilding before I ever trained. So I used to watch those videos, and I was watching it as a kid when I was like 7, 8 years old. So I used to watch all these, and I see the gym equipment that was in the videos, and I love that. I love the look of that.
Maybe it's because I'm over here in the U.S. That's not a brand that I'm very familiar with. It's probably it's probably a lot easier to travel a piece from Germany to the UK than it is to get that over here across the ocean and everything. So it's not a brand that we're super familiar with over here. What was the name of it again?
Zynamite.
Zynamite. Okay.
That's old school German equipment. And the Germans, they don't know how. Heavy duty, heavy. I feel like a tank.
Oh yeah. Good engineering.
Yeah, very, very good.
I have a German car. I definitely am. I'm a fan of the stuff they make. I can only imagine. I got to check this out now.
Yeah. So you'll like this one. The other day, I managed to get hold of a Cybex 45-degree leg press, first generation, the very first generation leg press.
Yeah.
The one you'll see Dorian use in the Blood and Guts videos. If you're a gym collector or a gym owner, you'll know how hard they are to get hold of. Nearly impossible to find.
Yeah.
The original 90s piece with the adjustable seat. I mean,
did you get to train on that one yet?
Yeah, I had my first leg session on it last week.
How did that feel?
It ruined me. It was amazing. It was amazing because I have problems with 45-degree leg presses. It all travels through my hips, and I can't get it right. No matter the foot positioning, nothing. Others, I'll get a lot of knee pain. Some, my lower back lifts off the pad. The Cybex leg press is so simple, yet so efficient. They just got it right. It's like they didn't even think about getting it right. They just put it together. Oh, it works. We'll just keep doing that. And to me, no other brand who have tried to replicate what they've done have succeeded, in my opinion. Apart from the new Arsenal leg press is very good.
Yeah,
very good. Still doesn't match it.
Is this your favorite piece of equipment then?
Probably, yeah. The Cybex leg. It's just because the nostalgic feeling, of Dorian and Leroy, those videos.
That's cool. That's really cool, man. So, all right, tell me a little bit about your nutrition now to get from where you were to where you are. What does your food look like at this point?
Okay, so at this point, I knew you were going to ask this question. I didn't fully calculate my macros.
That's okay.
I'll be honest, I don't count.
I don't either.
I know because if my coach sends me a diet, me knowing the macros and knowing the amount of calories doesn't change my ability to adhere.
Yeah.
Adherence isn't a question, but I know when I'm on low calories, I don't want to know how low the calories are. Just in my head.
Yeah.
When I'm on high calories, I especially don't want to know.
Yeah.
Because you're force feeding. But
well, hold on a sec. For anybody who is newer, because I do feel like when we just had the audio podcast, we had a lot of everybody who listened to those shows was hardcore. Now that we're on YouTube as well, I feel like there are some people that are a little bit newer to this. They might be scratching their head right now asking, well, what's Dan doesn't count his calories. How does he know what he's eating? Well, you got to coach, first of all, A, so that's it doesn't matter. But B, you started somewhere. At some point, you guys knew what your calories were, and then it's just a matter of doing what you're doing plus, an added amount, and then seeing the result, and then doing what you're doing plus an added amount. So it's like the actual number doesn't really matter. What matters is the progress that you're making. I think it's important to say that.
What I've learned is if you've got a coach, you've hired that coach for a reason. You have to trust him.
Yeah.
So this year, I think it's probably the first time I've fully been able to disconnect emotionally from the process.
Okay.
And this has been really key to a lot of the progress I've made. I just say when people say, well, don't you care what you're doing? Like you don't want to know? No, I don't want to know. He sends me the plan and I do it. It's not my job. That's his stress. Yeah. I've got my own clients to think about. I don't need to think about my body. That's his stress to worry about, not mine.
Yeah.
At all.
I think that's the best thing you could do, man. That means you've got a coach that you trust. Period. Yeah.
If he says jump, I say how high.
Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah. So tell me about some of the meals then. Like what are we looking at? Say pre, or we'll say post. What's a post workout meal look like for you? And do you have like high days, low days? How does that work?
No, it's just training day diet and rest day diet.
Okay.
Rest day diet is only slightly lower in carbs because you haven't got the carbs that you would usually have around the training perimeter.
Okay.
So obviously JP favors a nutrient timing approach, which I think has become pretty popular nowadays, timing the majority of your carbs around your workout.
Yeah.
But with calories being circa 6,000 calories right now, about 750 carb, around 120 fat and 60 protein a meal from sources. Carbs are everywhere, to be honest, just apart from breakfast. Breakfast, I like to keep pro-fat. But my post-workout meal, we're talking 60 grams of protein. Half of that is from whey. The other half is from chicken. Then we have 250 grams of carbs from cereal, rice. Yeah, just cereal and rice. Yeah. I'm quite blessed to be able to eat a lot of food. I think I've heard this a lot. I do believe it's a genetic trait to be able to eat a lot of food because I know some guys who just can't put it away.
That's me. That's me. I've always struggled. I wonder if part of it is like nurture as well. Like, did your mom cook a lot of food when you were a kid? Did you guys have like big portions when you were growing up?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, I didn't. We ate like very conservatively. Like you didn't eat in excess, that type of thing. Versus I talked to guys like you, or I just talked to who was that? Nick Walker, who's competing in super heavies over here at North Americans, and he was like, he's like the Jersey guy who's like, grandma makes these big Italian meals type thing. It's like they have all this food. I
was the same. My mum, when I was going into school, even before I got into bodybuilding, would send me to school with 3 lunches. One for break time, one for lunchtime, and one for directly before I kind of finish sport or just as I get out of school. And they would all be full meals. There would be like a bolognese. There would be like a chicken rice combo, then something else in the afternoon. I mean, full on meals.
Holy shit.
So I wouldn't go without.
Yeah.
There's probably something very true about that, to be fair.
No, so were you ever like a fat kid, or did you stay skinny through all that?
I went through phases. I went from, I was a fat kid, not fat kid, but I was chubby. Okay. Then puberty hit and it did me good, and I went skinny. Then from there, I just started weight training, and I was skinny, and I was still eating a lot of food.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool. Well, I'm really excited to have the opportunity to come on here, talk about all this. I mean, do you want to talk, because gear's legal over there? Can you talk a little bit about what you guys do in that regard?
Absolutely. I can. So, as I said to you, post show, we did nothing regards gear.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely nothing. I am a blast and cruise guy. I don't come off. My goals necessitate that it's probably best to optimize my hormones whilst I'm not blasting.
Yeah.
And just from a longevity point of view, I will be on TRT the rest of my life. I've accepted that, and my goals reflect that it's probably for the best, because I know either way, when I get there, by the time I get there, I'll be forced to be on TRT anyway.
Sure. Yeah.
I've accepted that. Every decision I've made regards drugs and first doing it, have considered my health, of course, and have considered what do I really want to do with this. And my vision for where I want to be and where I need to be is so clear that I can consciously say this is worth doing.
Yeah.
That's that. I think too many people jump on the gear without actually having an idea of why they're doing it and end up regretting it and hurting their health in the process.
Sure.
And now, saying that, Jordan isn't reckless at all. He makes me do blood work. He's, in my opinion, conservative.
Okay.
I mean, yes, as I've put on the size, drugs have been higher.
Okay.
Progression. There is a progression there that's necessary, but not without thought, I'd say.
Okay.
So post-show, 250 milligrams cruise dose until probably Christmas. So we spent about 10 weeks off. In that time, I had a brilliant rebound. I did not need drugs at all.
Yeah.
Then we started an off season, and we got to 250 pounds. Compounds, usually, I'm a big fan of Primobolan. Luckily, I have a source that I know it's real. I know you guys struggle over there.
Did you say Primobolan?
Yes.
Okay, I get it. Cut out just a little bit. All right. So Primo. So you're talking what we would consider to be a pretty dry compound. A lot of people would say, "Hey, that's like a girl steroid almost," But you find that you're doing really well with it.
Absolutely. I don't like to feel like I'm on gear when I'm on gear.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't. As I say, I'm a strong guy in a way, relatively. I don't need something extra that's going to give me unnatural strength.
Okay.
Because if it does, I will get myself injured.
Yeah.
That's just that. Primo, for me, it's a great drug. It doesn't hurt my appetite. It doesn't affect my mood, and it's something I can push the dosages up. I found between the 500 and 700 mark is my sweet spot.
Okay.
It's just a pain in the ass having to pin so much volume. That's the only problem with it.
Sure.
But apart from, it's a great steroid, and it doesn't hurt my blood work.
Really? Okay.
Or history has proven anyway.
Okay. Oh, that's cool, man. Because I found that volume is going to be one thing, because you're usually looking at 100 milligrams per milliliter. We do have, there is issues, I think, but I do think that there is a lot of really good, legit sources out there now too. I think that's been more of, that's like the lore almost nowadays, because I don't know, I've run into a lot more real Primo than I think I would have expected just based off of what I've read online. So I could see that, but I wasn't expecting you to say Primo. I was expecting you to say like Deca or EQ, something that would be like our traditional like mass compounds, as you would call them,
Absolutely. So, and if you know Jordan's philosophies well, you'll know he likes to use a little bit of everything. He doesn't like to go big on one compound. Yeah. I found this also to be better for my blood work, not overusing one drug and just using a mix of a few.
Yeah.
So we've obviously, I used Sutadon as my testosterone. We used that in a healthy range between, this time around was the highest I ever ran it. I ran it at about 750, which is the highest I've ever been with it, to be fair. Before that, I'd been around the 400, 500 mark.
Okay, wow.
But that's my sweet spot, about 500, I'd say.
Yeah.
We have that with Primo and usually Nandrolone, MPP.
Oh, okay. So nothing really then that's going to be like a quote unquote wet compound.
No, we like to see the visual. We like to see what it's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't deal with orals. I don't do them
Okay.
at all. Not until prep anyway. I just don't see the need.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes at the end of a cycle, a little bit of Anavar, maybe 40, 30 milligrams of real Anavar can go a long way. But apart from that, I don't see the need. If you've got the food, and I've got the desire, why do you need to push things unnecessarily being in a surplus? Then you save the higher dosages and the orals for when you need them to preserve strength in prep.
Fair enough, man. I can appreciate that. What's the philosophy on controlling estrogen at this 750 test?
I actually did really well off of just using Aromazine.
Okay.
We didn't even need to use a Arimidex. In the past, I've used a Arimidex, and although I haven't been doing it long enough to see my HDL fall, obviously it will fall during a cycle, and I've seen mid-cycle bloods. It does fall, but I haven't been doing it long enough to see a permanent drop. Always returns back to a healthy range.
Oh, nice.
But with Aromazine, obviously we know it doesn't hurt the lipid panel as much. Right. So I gave that a go, and luckily my body likes it. I can use that. Say on 800 using. So this would have been at the end of. Obviously, I tried to do a prep in May. My show got cancelled. I was 6 weeks out. I just put the tren in. Okay. And I was using Tren, Primo, Masteron, and Test.
Okay.
I was using 12.5 milligrams every other day of Aromazine.
Okay. And how about in a blast, like an off season where, we don't necessarily. I mean, what's your thought on controlling estrogen now at this stage?
So I like to keep an upper reference ranges just for strength. I find if I let it fall too low, I don't feel good in myself. And again, I'm just not as strong.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was getting at. I wondered about that.
Yeah, for sure. So we keep it in the upper reference ranges. So usually if I am 800 tests, it's the same, 12.5 every other day.
Okay.
When I'm on a cruise, usually nothing. If I do notice that I'm starting to tear up at a film I really shouldn't tear up at, then I might add in twice a week, 12.5 grams of Aromazine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that gives us a good idea then. I feel like we have a pretty complete picture here, and I'm glad to hear where you're at too. This reinforces a lot of the stuff that, everybody has always said on the shows. If you listen to Dusty, if you listen to Ron, if you listen to Dave and Skip, everybody kind of will reinforce that you don't really need to take it to the crazy doses. And I know that, I've seen some of the message boards in the UK. There are a lot of guys out over there that at least have been pushing some crazy numbers.
Yeah, but do they ever post their pictures?
That's a very good point.
I was a little bit skeptic. You got me on the huge as fuck segment.
Yeah.
And going by your previous guests, you got Dusty, Ron, Dave, what's his name from Animal? Gary.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, why has he got me on? Then it came to my thought that, well, I'm kind of representative of a lower demographic, age demographic.
Sure.
And I think it would be useful to see guys my age actually take an example from what they can relate to in a way.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, guys, to make progress, if you can maximize everything, you do not need a lot of drugs, because once you hit that ceiling, you're only going to have to take more. And that's the sad reality of it. If you can get obsessive about getting strong, I said I wasn't a strong guy. And what I meant by that is my progress has come from being a very weak guy to being a relatively strong guy. It's that rate of change that has brought about the progress. It's no secret that when I was 207 pounds, I was incline pressing 3 plates aside for like 3 reps.
Yeah.
And just 2 weeks ago, I incline pressed 405 for 5 reps.
Nice.
Now, tell me something's not going to grow if you make that rate of progress.
Yeah. Yeah. And hey, listen, man, you definitely, you fit the segment. I mean, listen, you gained a ton of mass in a short period of time. As you said too, you're a younger guy, and I believe that we're just catching you. This is not the end of the story. You know, we're catching you in the middle of the story right now. And if it doesn't make sense to you now, it will in a couple of years. You'll be like, oh yeah, now I get it. Now I get why he wanted me on for that segment, because as long as you keep the hunger that you have, and as long as you can stay healthy, there is no question in my mind that you are going to reach your ultimate goals and that you could do some really cool stuff in the sport.
Yeah, I mean, it will happen. I know it will. For me, there's no other option. It's my love. It's just going to happen. There's no doubt in my mind. What that means is I'm not after a pro card, anything like that. If I am able to attain the physique, it will be worthy of a pro card. That's my goal. There's a goal physique I see. That's what drives me. It's not a pro card, not placing in a certain show or a trophy. It's that look. There's a look that I've got in my head. If I'm able to achieve that, then it will be worthy of what everyone else is after.
I like that.
That's that. I mean, yeah, but in terms of why I said that before about your previous guests, is because these are the guys I've learned off. And I think that's important, that your influences have to be, you have to be very picky with your influences. If you take Dusty, for example, now I think it's all too common to overanalyze the process. Was it paralysis by overanalysis? People chop and change coaches, chop and change training, get drawn into ridiculous training methods that sound sexy and really don't work. You look at Dusty, he has not changed. The process has been the same forever since he's been with Dan. It's been forever. And look at the rate of progress he's made. He's a living example of that.
Yeah.
And then they're the guys that I look up to, Ron, Dusty. These guys are the guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dan, I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate you coming on and sharing all this with us. And I look forward, like I said, man, we're in the middle of the story. I look forward to seeing you further down the road and seeing where you take this.
Thank you for having me on, Scott. I really appreciate it, mate. As I say, I've been a long-time listener, so could never have imagined I'd actually be on the show, but awesome. Little life goal ticked off, you know?
Awesome. Well, guys, for another installment of the Huge as Fuck segment, I'm Scott McNally with Dan BASTICK from the UK. Dan, we'll see you soon. Thanks, brother.
Cheers, Scott. Thank you very much, mate.